of course, where they can find you.
Sure. So my name, the way you can find me in the community, is Mistress Mia Payne. And you can find my website at paynewithpurpose.com, and it's spelled Payne. You can find me at FetLife at Mistress Mia Payne. You can find me on Instagram at Call Me Mistress Mia. You can find me on TikTok at Mistress Mia Payne. So I'm kind of everywhere. I'm not great at keeping up on all my socials because I'm real busy. But I'm hoping to do a little more of that in this coming year. So, but yeah, and I do so many different things. I work with couples who are learning and trying to implement the philosophies and practices of BDSM in their relationships. I teach them how it creates stronger bonds, how they can work to heal disconnect between each other. I also do demonstrations and I lead workshops on the topic of BDSM as a healing and trauma recovery tool. I am not a therapist, but I have been doing this work for 10 years, and the last seven of them have been almost exclusively with clients that are coming to either do self-development work or to overcome shame or find their voice or, a lot of kind of higher desires are found in BDSM. It's not just play. And before we go any further, I just want to clear up that what you see in the movies is not what I do. It's very different from real life. I mean, we love a good movie, but BDSM work is not the way they portray it in the movies. And I have zero sexual contact with my clients. It is just physical sensation, just to be clear.
I'm glad you cleared that up because one of my questions would have been, what are some of the misconceptions?
Oh,
I've seen the movies, right? And we've all
mhm,
seen the movies. And I think there's like a divide where some people are like, ooh, that's
mhm,
kind of cool. That's kind of sexy in a way, right?
mhm. Yeah.
And then yeah, right. And then some other people are like, I don't know, I'm kind of vanilla here. That's a little too much for me.
Sure,
So
sure.
what are some other misconceptions that you'd like to clear up about the community?
Number one misconception is that this is abuse. The reason that it is not abuse is that both parties are in agreement and consent is an ongoing situation. So, for example, um, one of my new onboarders came in to my space a couple days ago, and he spent the first 30 minutes filling out paperwork where we detailed what he said yes to, what he said not right now, but maybe later to, what he said, do not ever do this to me too, right? As well as all of the different consents. He let me know what his health, needs were, if he had any disability, if he had any injuries, so I can be mindful of his physical needs and limitations. And we talk about like, did he have any trauma? Was there any kind of childhood background that may be useful for my making sure that he feels safe in the space? And so by the time we even get to the first, sensation or, domination of some kind, it's not always physical play. That's what I specialize in, but I do all kinds of different stuff. But he, before I even get there, any client has given me very specific consent. And if at any point that consent doesn't feel good for them, I advocate and encourage them to say yellow, red, stop, whatever, drop keys if he's gagged, right? Like, let me know that this is no longer benefiting you. And then I stop and we back up, we have a conversation, we renegotiate. I ask if there's anything that they need. So the difference between practicing BDSM and abuse is the consent and it is the respect that you find in the room. Even when it looks to an outside person, like the submissive may be being taken advantage of or is losing their autonomy, the people in the scene, as long as there's consent, then it is consensual.
So let me ask you this question then, and I'm just using you as a sounding board, so I do
Sure.
apologize,
Don't
right, in
apologize.
advance.
Okay.
So for me, I'm newer to the community, not just because I'm not a part of it, but I know a number of people, including yourself, who
Hmm.
are in it.
Yep.
And I know before I started to speak to people in the community, there was this view, and most of the view, as you mentioned, was either social media, movies, culture, whatever the case is, right? As I began to pull back the veil and understand that, hey, you're people just like you and I, right? Like we're just regular, everyday people. Why do you think some people still have a hesitation to maybe having an open mind to the community?
Two things. One, shame, which we're going to talk more about later. And two, religious upbringing. Those are the two top things that I find really restrict a person's ability to accept themselves, to explore their desires safely, and to be honest and communicate what it is that they need. The human experience is an equal amount, pleasure and pain. And humans throughout our lives, we've sought pain out. Like, I don't know if, do you know anybody that like will eat something so hot that they cry? Yeah. Are you one of those people?
No,
No.
I used to be. I don't want to lie to you. I
Okay.
used to be, right? But now my stomach lining says, Terrain, you can't eat these
Oh,
spicy things
got
anymore, right?
it. But like people will, they'll eat food that makes them cry. They will run, races until they fall apart and they're, vomiting on the ground. Sorry about that image, but like humans will push themselves. We jump off of cliffs with just a cord attaching us, right? Like we are designed to seek the novel. And pain for us is part of our testing our own limits, finding our own strength, and building our own self assurance and resilience. So yeah, I think that religion teaches us to be um, to avoid testing the limits because all religions, well, maybe not all, I shouldn't say that. I don't know all the religions, but all the religions I am familiar with require you to be sort of submissive to their deity. And you have to do as you're told. And the deity says yes or no to whatever you may wish to try, right? And so if the deity says that's out of the limits based on their scripture that they're reading or the people that they're talking to, then they won't pursue it. So I think it really does numb the humans that are in, organized religion.
And shame is something that, if you look at like throughout human history, it's been used to change a number of behaviors. And I say change in quotations, of course,
Yeah.
right? I remember there's times where if you see like a boy and a girl walking down the street, oh my God, are you guys together? What are you guys doing? Like you have the element of shame, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right. Or if you say that, well, you
yeah.
know what? I'm going to go live with my girlfriend. Oh my God, you're going to have
Not
sex. You're going to be
married.
pregnant, 10
Yes.
kids.
Hmm.
Like,
Yes.
well, that may happen. It's not a guarantee, but it,
Right.
it may happen. Right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because then I always wonder, because I know the work that I did to heal from it and work through it. What are some
Mm.
of the steps that maybe the everyday person can do to heal their trauma, heal the shame, especially in the way that you do it as well?
Oh boy, this is a very big question. So every person is unique. Every person's journey will be unique. My my journey, I used to be a missionary in a fundamentalist Christian upbringing. So I went from being a missionary to doing this work. And, for some people, they think that that's a very big stretch, but a missionary brings a message to free, they believe that they're freeing the people that they're bringing the message to. They are doing what they believe is good, and I've always been a person who has been in a helping profession. And so, for what I have seen in my journey through religion and healing from my own things, it's so many things. First of all, understanding that there's nothing that you can want or fantasize about or be curious about that is new. every every 10 humans, right? If we ask them, what are your secret thoughts and desires? They're probably just as strange, quote unquote, or weird, quote unquote, as yours seem to be to you. There is nothing abnormal about what you're thinking and feeling, and even the things you want to try and the things you feel are desires. So understanding that it's normal and really accepting that really can help reduce shame. When you make yourself different from normal, that's where shame begins, right? And then the second thing is that I kind of learned how the body responds to trauma. So there's so many ways that the body responds to the stimuli that we're given: emotional, physical, environmental. But emotions, especially unresolved emotions, get stored in the fascia of our body. So the fascia is found between the skin and the ligaments and muscles, right? And so it's just this like thin web. And the more that they study the fascia, the more that they realize that it is almost like an organ of emotion. So when we do anything, massage therapy, chiropractic care, I don't know if your listeners would probably vouch to the fact that when you go get a really good adjustment